Hi friends, welcome back with new amazing video from Top Movies Recap. Today I'm going to recap a 2017 horror and thriller film titled Awakens. Spoiler warning, watch out and take care. The movie begins with Lee, who is a black magic practicing adolescent who follows a cult. After school, Lee is in a car with Aaron, who is Lee's hormone interest, and the two share some smiles before Aaron drives Lee home where she and her mother have dinner. It's a fairly quiet dinner since Lee's father died. Neither of them has spoken to each other, and her mother is a shambles. Later, Lee overhears her mother crying in her room, and her mother conceals something under the bed. Lee tells her mother she's going to a book signing, and her mother replies she doesn't care. At the book signing, Lee waits in line with Rob while they discuss the book. Lee then approaches the author Rowan, who signs her book. When Lee inquires about additional details in the rituals, Rowan warns her to be careful what she asks for. Lee and her friends sat around drinking and discussing the book signing. They then begin to discuss parents and how they are just like the kids. Aaron and Lee sit in the car after driving Lee to her place, and there is an awkward moment between them since Aaron is too timid to kiss Lee. Aaron curses angrily as he drives away, and inside the house, Lee's mother is waiting for her, upset that she's home so late and that she didn't return home after the book signing was ended. Lee's mother is irritated. Lee and her mother have a fight. Lee's mother informs her that they have sold their house and are relocating to a new one. Lee, enraged, returns to her room and sobs in her bed. Lee's mother is making pancakes the next morning and informs her that she is going out to check out the new house. She will pick her up from school, and they will both go when her mother leaves. Lee walks into her room to see what she put under the bed. It's images of her and her father at school, and she informs her pals that she will be moving this up. Rob asks if Lee wants to smoke, but she rejects because her mother will be picking her up to go to the new house. Lee and her mother arrive at their new home, which is located in the woods and is located far from the school that she attends. Lee examines her new room, which is smaller than her previous one. Lee notices that her room has stairs leading to the attic. She and her mother have now moved into the new house. She is driven to school by her mother. Her mother informs her that she will have to transfer schools after the holidays. She refuses. Her mother informs her that she can transfer after the school year instead. After school, Lee had a separate with her friends to go with her mother, and they ask if she can come with them this weekend. They walk away disappointed, and Lee gets in her car, enraged at her mother. They get home and begin fighting, and Lee's mother removes her ring and puts it in the trash. She then calls Lee's pals losers and tells her that she sees her father's face on her and wishes she could wipe it away, causing Lee to flee to the woods. She begins to beat up a tree, yelling that she wishes, and her mother becomes enraged. When Lee gets home, she walks straight to her closet and pulls out her occult books. She takes a page from one book and copies it down. She gets yarn and other things she'll need for the bathroom routine and hair from her mother's hairbrush, as well as a bowl and milk from the kitchen. Lee then goes for a walk in the woods. She comes across a circle of trees and decides it's the perfect place to call a demon. Lee goes through the ritual step by step, cutting her arm and letting the blood flow into the bowl of milk. When she's finished, she walks home through the woods, where she turns around and we see something behind the tree. When Lee returns home, she goes upstairs and stores her books and ritual materials before cleaning her arm in the bathroom. Lee tries to hide her injury throughout dinner with her mother, but fails when cutting her chicken causes her wound to bleed. Lee's mother takes her to the toilet and cleans her arm before applying a bandage and worrying about her. Lee is terrified of the demon at night, so she turns on the light in her room, but she is still afraid, so she goes to the front door and unlocks it before going to sleep. In the morning, when she comes down the stairs, she notices the front door has been opened, and there is a trail of dirt leading in. So she cleans it up with a broom and dustpan, frightened. She then visits her mother in her room to see how she is doing. Her mother is sound asleep in bed when Dahlia and her mother drive past a gift shop where Lee's mother would like to work on weekends. When they walk into the shop, Lee's mother asks for an application. While reading over the cards, Lee notices one that says, "Be cautious what you wish for, someone might be listening," which concerns her and makes her fear her mother's death. Lee and her mother almost dodge a car accident with a minivan on the way home, but they spin off the road and end up in a ditch. Rex sits on the couch and talks about Lee's birth and her father after a tow truck gets their car out of the ditch and back on the road. Lee and her mother are shivering from the car. Lee feels grateful she still has her mother after hearing the account of her birth. At night, Lee is awoken by noises coming from the attic. She gets up to investigate the noise but is too afraid to check the attic. When Lee asks if she is sure, Lee's mother tells her to check it herself and discovers nothing but boxes within the attic. The following, Dahlia watches TV while her mother folds laundry and she assists her mother in the garden. Lee cries herself to sleep after a day of assisting her mother with chores. While Alia is sleeping, Her mother walks into her room and turns out the light. We see the demon as a shadow in the corner as something approaches Lee's window. It then climbs up to Lee's bed and stands over her, stepping down to the floor. Lee awakens in the same area where she executed the demon's summoning ritual, her arm bleeding profusely. She rushes home to wipe the blood from her arm, and she tells her friends about the demon. Rob chastises her for dabbling in black magic, saying she will get what she deserves. Janice is attempting to console himself. They ask Lee's mom if it's okay if Janice stays the night. Lee's mom has no problem with it. That night, Lee and Janice are doing the dishes. When Lee's mom walks in to thank them, Lee makes fun of Janice for being so formal with her mom. Later, after trying unsuccessfully to record something strange on their phones, Janice and Lee decide to just sit on the bed. Janice pulls out a joint and they head outside to smoke while talking about boys and hormones. Outside, Janice persuades Lee to show her where the ritual was performed. When they arrive at the location, Janice begins acting possessed and wanders into the darkness while Lee yells at her. This turns out to be a joke by Janice, but Lee does not find it amusing. When they go home, Janice declares that she is ready for bed, and she and Lee exchange a goodnight embrace before Janice falls asleep on the couch. In the morning, as Janice is sleeping, her mother wakes her up and inquires about her whereabouts. They search the house but can't find Janice. She is discovered in Lee's mother's car, screaming and demanding to leave the house. Janice screams not to touch her throughout class, and her desk is vacant. Lee texts her, wondering what happened, but receives no response. On the way home, Lee and her mother discuss Janice and are unsure what happened to her. When Lee returns home, she pulls out her occult literature and attempts to contact author Rowan for assistance. He responds that he would like to talk to her later this afternoon. Aaron approaches Lee at her locker at school and inquires about Janice and why she isn't responding to his texts. While Aaron believes she has done something wrong in the mall, Lee FaceTimes Rao, and Rowan tells Lee she will have to perform the same exact ritual. But in reverse, Rowan tells Lee that the demon Puaket can take many forms and not to trust her eyes on the bus ride home. While walking home from the bus stop, Lee considers what she has done and what she must do now. When she hears Lee's footsteps behind her, she becomes terrified and runs the rest of the way home. When she gets home, she rushes to get all of her ritual items to try to exorcise the demon. She's having trouble finding hair from her mother because all of the hairbrushes have been emptied. Her mother's hair is stuck in the shower drain, and she manages to find it. She snatches the milk and, appearing like a devil or something, spills part of the kanda. Her mother returns home while she's on her way to the ritual location and begins calling into the woods for her. Lee arrives at the location and begins the ritual in reverse, but she is distracted when she notices a corpse lying on the ground beside her. She approaches the body and recognizes it as her mother, scared that her mother has died. Lee forgets about the routine and instead dials 911, telling the operator that her mother has died. While she is on the phone, Lee's mother continues to contact her from the house. Lee hangs up the phone and goes deeper into the woods as the dispatcher asks who is calling her name and to put them on the phone. Aaron claims that his parents have the car and that he won't be there for a time, while Lee sits in the woods, her knife in hand, for protection from the demon. We notice Lee's mother's body begin to move and realize this is the demon's plan. When Lee arrives at the house, Lee receives a text from Aaron stating that he is waiting for him out front. When she discovers that no one is present, she notices her mother peering through the window at her. She tries to return to the woods, but her mother orders her to come inside, and she enters the house with the knife in her hand. When her mother inquires about the knife, Lee replies that she will put it away in her room. Lee places a chair in front of the door to prevent it from opening. Her mother approaches her door and begins hammering on it, pleading with her to allow her in. As she pounds on the door harder, her mother's voice becomes deeper and more demonic. Lee, horrified, takes the lamp in her room and smashes it through the window before leaping out. She glances at the door and sees the devil gazing up at her once outside. Lee flees the bushes and hides in the bushes. Lee watches the devil slither around until being chased back inside, where she flees to her room and hides in the attic. Lee's mother discovers her afraid and holding the knife in the attic. She quietly disarms Lee downstairs and they chat about it. Lee's mother says she'll keep the knife for the night, assuming it's another demon's trick. With a shard of glass from her broken window, Lee devises a strategy. Lee enters her mother's room and wakes her up by cutting a length of garden hose and siphoning gas from her mother's car with the hose and a bucket. She then throws the gas on her mother, believing it to be the demon, and sets her ablaze. Aaron arrives to find Lee's house in flames and are passing out on the grass outside. While being questioned by police, Lee is listening to her 911. The detective informs Lee that there was nobody found in the woods and that the only body found was inside the burning house. We hope you enjoyed our video from today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to receive notifications of new and interesting videos.